Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Scott Allison, and this is Beyond 280, the show where we go beyond 280 character limitations on Twitter and get to the kind of the meat behind the tweets, if you will, the context that people don't know about in some of these social media interactions. And so I delve into the crud so that you don't have to get to the meat of these stories. Today, I'm really diving into the muck here because I just came across a really disturbing tweet. It was really a link to an article, but it all kind of stems from this concept that it is okay to teach children as young as kindergartners about sexual identity and gender studies and gender identity and sexual orientation and any of that stuff. That somehow that's an okay thing. This stems from the Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, which I did a video on a couple of weeks ago. But it basically, this story that I'm about to show you. First of all, make sure there's no kids in the class ever in the room with you when we start this up, because I don't want anybody to get upset that their child saw this or something. But that Don't Say Gay bill, which is not a Don't Say Gay bill, it is an anti teaching kindergartners through third graders anything about sexuality or gender or any of that stuff. Let them be kids, right? And especially don't get, like some of the materials that we've seen coming out recently, especially don't get, explicit with things like this, even later in elementary school and middle school. That it's a sickness and it needs to be addressed. And so one of the leading arguments about the Don't Say Gay bill is like, oh, nobody's trying to teach that to your kids. Nobody's trying to indoctrinate your kids, blah, blah, blah. But then we get, stories coming out across the nation now where, yes, this very thing is happening. There's a school district in New Jersey that wants to teach your kids about, first graders especially, teach them about, if you kind of feel like a girl, well, then you're a girl. Basically affirming, fantasy, because my kids each thought they were superheroes when they were younger. Well, yeah, I'm not going to let them jump off a building thinking they could fly. It's ridiculous, right? So let's get into it. So here's the tweet that really set me off. So if you're not familiar with Christina Summers, she is a feminist, a conscious feminist. I forgot what her tagline is, but she's a feminist and she's awesome. If you don't follow her on Twitter, please do. She's really cool. But she found this story that dates back to June of last year, that a sex ed teacher out at Dalton, it is apparently a private school of some sort, after masturbation lesson for first graders. This should incense everybody. For first graders, teaching about masturbation to first graders, a teacher. This is, I saw this and I was like, what are we doing? What is going on here? Why is this allowed? Why is this even a thing? It hurts my brain just a tad that this would be a thing. So yeah, why is it? Why is this happening? And I've got a reason for that, but let's dive into the actual story, so we can have some context. And there we go. So sex ed teacher out at Dalton after masturbation lesson for first graders. So a teacher who taught controversial sex education classes that included cartoon videos of masturbation for first graders at the posh Dalton school has resigned, the Post has learned. Justine Ang Font, who also taught a one-day workshop on porn literacy. Porn literacy? Okay. To juniors at Columbia Grammar and Prep School last month that angered some parents, will now return to the school next year, according to an email Dalton's head of school, Jim Best, sent to parents. Best also will not be returning to Dalton next year. So this person apparently, they pay her to come into school and teach about porn and masturbation. Sounds like worth the money to me. Yeah. So Um, Throughout her tenure at Dalton, Justine Eng Font has helped to develop an exemplary K through 12 health and wellness program. Dalton, our faculty, staff, administration, and trustees continue to stand firmly behind this program and those who teach it, Best wrote. At faculty and staff meetings this week, Justine announced her decision to leave Dalton to focus on her work as an independent health educator. She had been working toward this goal for over a year. We support Justine's aspirations and look forward to honoring her accomplishment as the academic year comes to a close. So that's not why she's leaving. She's leaving because parents got pissed, as well they should. So if you look at this picture here, and maybe I need to zoom in a little bit on this. Oh, it's not going to let me. Of course, it's not going to let me. But the first day of my 11th year disrupting health education. Look at what she's saying. She's disrupting health education because masturbation isn't about health. It's about self-pleasure. And you're teaching about self-pleasure to children. Font is the third high-profile Dalton staffer to leave the school this year as the school struggles with a simmering conflict between the faculty and parents over its progressive agenda. Really? Dominic Rollins, the school's director of DEI, or Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, left in February to pursue other opportunities. Sure he did. Best, Dalton's headmaster for the past year, who has been with the school for a total of 16 years, announced in April he was resigning to pursue other exciting and inspiring opportunities. Sure he is. One parent said this Friday she was not impressed with the school's statement about Font. Or maybe it's Fonte. Anyways, this inability to admit a mistake or acknowledge misstep is strange, she said. It shows a real lack of emotional intelligence and self-awareness on behalf of the leadership team. No shit. Last fall, Dalton parents who fork over $55,000 per year for their kids' tuition. Again, this is a private school. Learned that their first graders were being taught sex ed lessons that included cartoons showing little kids talking about touching themselves for pleasure. What the hell? What kind of... First of all, if you're an artist, you're a cartoonist, and you're drawing that sort of stuff, and you're animating that sort of stuff, what is wrong with you? The voice actors, what is wrong with them? This is not okay. Hey, how come sometimes my penis gets big, sometimes and points in the air? Asked the little boy in the cartoon, leading to an explanation of what an erection is. First graders. The boy nods and says, sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good. First graders. Sometimes when I'm, then the little girl chimes in. Little girl, first grader. Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when my mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too. The parents were initially told they misinterpreted the content of the classwork. There's nothing to interpret here. There's nothing to interpret here. Fawn has reassured parents that she does not use the word masturbation in class and that her lessons teach kids not to touch themselves in public. Okay, that makes it all better. Font also angered parents of juniors at another elite New York City private school, Columbia Grammar and Prep, with a workshop she gave on May 5th. The often explicit slide presentation and lecture by Font to the 120 boys and girls include lessons on how porn takes care of 3 big male vulnerabilities. Statistics on the orgasm gap showing straight women have far fewer orgasms with their partners than gay men or women, and photos of partially nude women, some in bondage, to analyze what is porn and what is art. Okay, so juniors, that's a little bit of a different story, but no. If I'm paying a high tuition like that, hell no. One slide cited various porn genres such as incest-themed, consensual or vanilla, barely legal, and kink and BDSM, which included waterboard electrode torture porn as an example. One part of the porn presentation involves something called the marketability of OnlyFans. So now this woman is teaching people, or juniors in high school, hey, go be on OnlyFans. Go make some money. The hot new app used mostly for sex work. One slide included a photo of a pretty young woman who appeared to be promoting OnlyFans type work. Font did not respond to numerous calls from the post for comment. No shit. Holy crap. This is insane. This is insane. And let me just say that the left have been crying a lot recently, especially around the Don't Say Gay bill, where conservatives have been calling anybody who is against the Don't Say Gay bill groomers. I don't think it's a strong enough term, especially in this case. You have a person who is actually grooming children. That is a groomer. And here's why I think this is happening. And again, this is not LGBTQ related or heterosexual. It runs the spectrum. But I think this is why this is happening. Because as adults, and so let me use myself as an example. I've got 3 boys, okay, varying ages. And as my boys grew up, my oldest grew up and never really found an interest in sports. And I wasn't really much of an athlete when I was a kid, but I did play Little League and I loved it. I thought it was like one of my favorite experiences as a child. But my oldest kind of went through that period and never found an interest. So I kind of vowed that on my middle son, I would go ahead and sign him up for T-ball, even though he was like, not really that interested. Well, once I got him in, I realized it's just not his thing. It's just not what he wants to do. So my youngest comes along, and he's clearly a talented physical person. So he's a little bit of an athlete, and we could see that early on, and so we fostered that. I didn't try to push it or anything. We fostered it. And eventually he came around to the idea of playing baseball. And I was like, yes. And so I started coaching. And the reason why I did that is because we as parents and as adults in general, I think, we try to live vicariously through our children, right? We try to reenact those things in our childhood where we were either left out or maybe we enjoyed it so much that we still kind of miss it even as adults. And in that case, for me, it was playing baseball. I love getting out there with the kids as a coach, throwing the ball around, hitting batting practice, pitching to the kids, and just kind of teaching them the things that I was taught as a little leaguer, and it was the joy of my life. But in my case, it wasn't destructive. I didn't try to live my life vicariously through my children in a destructive way. No, I turned it around. I was a coach to these kids. And several years later, I see these kids now, and they say hi to me, and they remember me, and I know I had a positive impact on those children. A positive impact on those children. But we as adults tend to do this. We tend to want to, relive our childhoods through our own children. That's why we say living vicariously through our kids. There's a new class of people coming up that want to do the same thing, but they want to live vicariously through your children. Maybe they were abused as children, and they want to unload extra love on your kids in a way that's really not healthy. That's what these are what the groomers are that we keep talking about, and they keep hearing why we have a Don't Say Gay bill. I believe that these people that want to do this, such as Fonte did at the Dalton School, really think that they're doing something right. I feel that they feel like they're doing something right. They don't see it that way, but it is destructive because it goes against the morals of the families that you're teaching to. That person probably has something in their past or something that's occurred to them, in their history of it as a child, and now they're trying to either correct it or they're trying to relive it. And that's why we get where we're at. So my advice to anybody who wants to live vicariously through their children is that fine, but do it in a positive manner, in a way that's constructive, in a way that helps the child or helps other children or helps a family, but not in a destructive way that flies against what that family believes. That where a parent, especially the ones that want to hide it, because several of these school districts try to hide this stuff. That if they're trying to hide it, that means the parents probably don't want it. So if you want to live vicariously through a child, first of all, live vicariously through your own child. And second of all, do it in a constructive way, in a positive way, with a positive, aiming for a positive outlook. And that's all I would say about that. So yeah, I just wanted to share this. I wanted to hop on and create a video about this because this is just insane. This is just insane. Let's look at that again. Sex ed teacher outed Dalton after masturbation lesson for first grader. Masturbation lesson for first graders. Lady, you don't get to live vicariously through my children. And with that, I am out of here. Don't forget to, if you haven't, please subscribe. Make sure you click the little bell icon. I go live on Fridays where I do a weekly digest of what's going on in Twitter and the Twitter sphere and the Twitterverse and all of that verse and sphere and world stuff. And would love to have you come and hang out with us and come on and chat with us. If you want to debate, I would love to have a debate. I would love to have discourse because that is sorely lacking in our society, especially with the advent of social media. So I look forward to seeing you, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and peace out.